That's what my feed cut was that. That is I want to apologize because I thought that was um, I thought that it was so it was my internet. It just happened um, when this thing about the Reiners came out, um, which is crazy. That's when my live stream just kicked out and lit kaput. That is fucking crazy. That is fucking crazy. Let's see here. For those that I'm sure it's been around the whole labs now with what's happening at the Ryder house and everything. I have it right here on this screen, and I noticed it's like, what the fuck? I thought Cake was to blame YouTube, and I don't know. I think that something happened with the internet, and it happened with the Ryder thing. It's really BS what happened with where the cops could not say anything about who it was, what happened. That is complete BS. Let me see here. I hate having to do this because I should be able to just click on it. Okay. This is crazy what's happening with the writers. Let's see if there is one here. But does it have them on right now, huh? Yeah. So that's crazy. The conference, the news conference. If everybody was watching the news conference that they just had, they said that they could not say who it was. Only the coroner can. That was complete BS. That's complete bullshit. The only time that the police are not going to tell, usually the only time that they don't tell who it was is if it is not, the people that people think it is. If it's not the writers. So why the fuck can't they say who it is if it is? My own conclusion is that would be the writers, right? And I read the guy's the black guy's lips from Entertainment Tonight. He when I read his lips, he goes, "It's crazy that they couldn't say anything," which it is. Let me see. Let's see here.
Okay, Kevin Ozebek, great work out there. We're going to let you continue to work the scene, and we'll check back in throughout the evening. That statement from the governor, Governor Gavin Newsom writing tonight just minutes ago, Jen and I are heartbroken by the tragic loss of Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner. Rob was the big-hearted genius behind so many of the classic stories we love, with projects as wide-ranging as The Princess Bride to A Few Good Men. His boundless empathy made his stories timeless, teaching generations how to see goodness and righteousness in others and encouraging us to dream bigger. So we can now confirm from several sources that Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle have been killed at their Brentwood home.
And we, of course, have been talking about his cultural impact. The
I don't know why the audio's like this.
1989, they share 3 children.
I
One of whom,
can't
we were
hear
told
it.
by neighbors, may live on that very same property as the Reiners in Brentwood. This is just the very early hours of this investigation. We expect a lot of developments perhaps to happen overnight, and Los Angeles police made it pretty clear we won't hear anything from them officially likely until tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we will continue to work our sources with the LAPD, assuming that that search warrant will be issued momentarily. We will likely see a different scene, but this makes sense now why the property and the grounds were so quiet, a lack of a police presence outside the house, coming in and out.
Hopefully
Normally
people
with a
hear.
murder investigation, we would see officers all around the
Hopefully,
property taking
hopefully.
pictures,
Okay.
looking for evidence. That is not evident at all from what we have been seeing here for hours. And so once that warrant is obtained, we expect to see a lot more activity on scene, and we will bring it to you throughout the evening. Of course, we will have continuing coverage here on ABC7.com and our ABC7 Los Angeles app, as well as Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock.
We have Kevin Ozebek out there at the scene, keeping an eye on things in this investigation as they develop. Our entertainment guru, George Pinocchio, will be weighing
Why
in on
couldn't
the
they
life
say it?
legacy
Why
of
couldn't the
Rob
police
Reiner.
say it?
And we will hear from Arlena Gomez, who is going to Hollywood to check on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Rob
he is a
Reiner's
star.
star there, where fans
There it is,
often
right.
flock and gather as an outpouring source of grief, and we will continue to cover this throughout the evening. Thank you for joining us for this breaking news special coverage of the apparent murder of Rob Reiner and his wife.
We'll see you.
This has been breaking news on Eyewitness
Is
News.
that it?
Get alerted first to breaking news happening around you. Download the ABC7 Eyewitness News app.
What about commercial in progress? All right. But that makes no sense. How is that the police could not say?
We want to get you right back out to air live images coming in from Air 7 right now
That's fast.
over the Brentwood community. There is a death investigation at a home in
78-year-old guy.
Brentwood on Chadbourne Avenue. This is that home right there. We do know that there are 2 victims. We're told a 78-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman. The LAPD homicide unit is on the scene, and we are told from sources at the LAPD that this is the home of Rob
2
Reiner and his
victims.
wife, and property records in fact confirm that.
Yes, Rob Reiner, 78 years old, his wife, 68 years old. That matches the ages of the victims found within Rob Reiner's home. That is according to the LA Fire Department. Victims were 78-year-old man, 68-year-old woman. Again, that matches the ages of Rob Reiner and his wife. We can see some file video here of Rob with his 2 of his children. Jake there on the left was actually a news reporter in the Los Angeles market for a short time at one of our other stations here in Los Angeles. And so a lot of people in many industries have been touched by this. And we do not know that it was Rob Reiner. It has not been confirmed.
I actually
that it
played
was
this for
Rob
cutting
Reiner.
my live stream.
Again, all we know right now is that Rob Reiner and his wife match the age of the victims found within his home.
And we were told that this all began just after 3:30 this afternoon. The LA Fire Department says they got a call for some sort of medical assistance at that home on Chadbourne Avenue. Just
That's the
after
age.
3:30,
That's
they
the age.
responded. That's when they determined there were 2 individuals dead inside the home, determined the ages and the male and female connection. LAPD is now handling this investigation, and sources within the department tell ABC News that their senior leadership is now responding to this scene. So this will likely be going on for several hours.
And we first learned about this simply as a death investigation happening at Rob Reiner's home, and wondered if something might have happened in terms of carbon monoxide or some kind of medical emergency. And then we find from the LAPD sources telling ABC News that this is now a murder investigation at the home of Rob Reiner. Ratchets things up quite a bit. We, again, don't see a lot of activity on the grounds of the property here in Brentwood at the home of Rob Reiner and his wife. We can see those LAPD units parked outside.
Hold on, let's see about this audio.
And on the property itself, they're likely awaiting the arrival of homicide investigators if they have not arrived as of yet, or waiting for some upper-level officers from within the department to arrive on scene when you deal with a situation as sensitive as this.
Although I do notice from the last time we were able to see police cars on the scene just about 15 minutes ago, it does appear that there are more police cars now at that scene. You can see just a single piece of police tape stretched across what's either the street or the driveway there. But we also know that these 2 people who were found dead at the home were found inside the home. So much of that investigation will likely play out in privacy behind the locked doors of that home. The active crime scene scene will be hidden away from public view, even though we have these images from Air 7 right now.
And as word gets out, I'm sure a lot of fans will be heading to the scene to pay their respects or to see what is happening. And that could be one of the reasons why we see more LAPD units showing up here on scene. But again, on the right,
There's a lot of
the
stuff
file footage of
Rob
Rob
Reiner said in
Reiner, his wife and two of his children walking a red carpet there. This is a very difficult and sensitive evening, again, as we have not received confirmation that the victims are indeed Rob Reiner and his wife. Again, what we know, a 78-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman were found dead inside the home of Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner, 78 years old, his wife, 68.
Okay, and let's get right now to Alex Stone, ABC's reporter here. And Alex, you've been speaking with some of your sources within the LAPD. What can you tell us right now?
Well, guys, yeah, we know that LAPD senior leadership is responding to the scene right now. As you mentioned, still a lot of LAPD moving in, but our sources are saying it is a murder investigation. As you've been reporting that there are two victims, the fire department, LAFD, saying that it was initially a medical call at that home. When they went in, they found a man and a woman, 68 and 78 years old, who were dead inside there. But there are a lot of resources from the LAPD responding in right now. But it is very early. Not much more than that is known, even among detectives who are going in. But a lot of work that they're going to have to do tonight.
And Alex, we are now 3 hours after this call initially came in. LAFD says that first call for help came around 3:38 this afternoon. It's just 6:50 right now. That sounds like a long time, but in terms of an investigation like this, that's barely any time at all. What can you tell us?
You're right. Yeah, Liz, this is it's still very initial at this point. That from when they got that call to when the LAFD went there, and then when LAPD came in. And then began calling out investigators who are at home. They were not on duty, and they're coming in right now. One I was just talking to, he was in the shower and getting ready to go. So this is all very preliminary right now. They are heading to the scene. They are beginning the investigation, and there's a lot they don't know.
And Alex, you mentioned the person you're talking to is just getting out of the shower. What does it tell you about the investigation, the magnitude of this investigation, that people are being called in off of their private time at home to get to this scene and figure out what is happening here?
Yeah, this is going to be a big investigation tonight. The fact that so many people are coming in, being called in from the senior levels of LAPD leadership, that this is going to be a long night for many of them, that they are calling in who they've got to begin what appears to be is going to be a priority investigation, a high-profile investigation. But, again, there's a lot that we don't know. We know that there are two murder victims inside of the home that began as a death investigation, that when LAFD went there, that they found two people who were dead inside the home. Then they called in the LAPD. The LAPD realized it was a murder, and then they began calling in the LAPD's robbery homicide unit. So that is about as far as they are right now in this, and figuring out the suspect information, the victim information, all of that we don't yet know.
Yeah, we're talking to Alex Stone from ABC News on the phone here. As we see on the screen, a bit more movement, activity outside the property here of Rob Reiner in Brentwood, where two victims were found today. Alex, I know there are a lot of officials from the LAPD headed to the scene. We have not seen much activity on the property itself. Have you been able to determine from your sources whether they are waiting for some of the top brass of the LAPD to get there before they really kick this investigation into gear, or is that just happening and we're not seeing it?
You know, Jory, I don't know if the activity there is waiting for others to get there. There are pretty senior leadership within the LAPD who are heading there right now and will be there here in probably the next 45 minutes or so. So they may be waiting for them so that they figure out from those who run the most high-profile investigations for the LAPD how they want to move forward. But what kind of activity, what's going on inside the home, I just don't know right now.
And Alex, as we watch this investigation that, as you mentioned, will likely play out for several hours, if not until sometime tomorrow morning, what do you start to look for? You know these scenes well. What do you start to look for in terms of movement, who's arriving at these scenes, and how they are handling this investigation for any indication of what's going on?
Well, I mean, every scene is very different in this, but when
That's
you
always how
see
you
the,
put on a
the
smile,
top
you
brass
don't feel
of the
like
LAPD arriving, as we may
Oh,
tonight,
boy.
maybe not, but as we may, that you know that it is a big investigation and a priority for the department. And family members, obviously, that if we begin to see family members of Rob Reiner and his wife showing up, that would be an indicator as well, based on their reactions. But this is clearly going to be a big investigation, and we just don't know a lot at this point. And what the extent of it is going to be, what the suspect information is going to be, is there a suspect out there on the loose right now? We don't know any of that.
Right. The LAPD in
They know,
situations
they're
like
just
this
not
are
saying.
notoriously difficult to get information from.
I
And
don't
on
know
top of
why
that, a
LAPD
celebrity
is
involved
not
at their
being
home.
forthcoming
It's been
with that.
hours, and we don't have
Makes no sense.
confirmation of who the victims are at such a famous owner. I'm expecting it's going to be hours before we get any kind of confirmation. Alex, you've dealt with a lot of high-profile stories throughout the years working here in Los Angeles. Is there anything that comes to mind that you can almost compare this to in dealing with where we are in this investigation and dealing with a victim of this notoriety?
No, not really. At least in my time here, my 21 years here, if this is in fact a murder, which it appears at this point it is, if it were to involve Rob Reiner as one of the victims, that this would be a very high-profile murder. We've obviously covered numerous deaths of celebrities over the years, whether it be Matthew Perry or Michael Jackson or and so many. The list goes on and on. But that this would be unique and extremely unfortunate. But again, we don't know if he was one of the victims at this point. We know that the home belongs to Rob Reiner and his wife. We know that the LAPD responded, that they are on scene right now, that it's a murder investigation. But those are the basics of what we know. So much that we're going to find out in the next couple of hours.
And Alex, have you been able to hear from your sources any specifics about the scene, about where this is playing out inside the home? We've been watching for a lot of activity in the street and in the driveway outside. As Jory mentioned, we're not seeing a lot of that happening.
Yeah, it appears, at least what I've been told, is that this was inside the home. That the fire department got a call of a death investigation in the home, and when they arrived, that it was clear at that point that it was a murder, and then the LAPD was called in. So it seems like it is inside. Now, just historically in covering these, when it is a murder and the victims do not need medical aid, everything slows down at that point because the scene itself, nothing is going to change there. They want to make sure that they process evidence correctly, that nobody contaminates the scene. There's a log kept of who goes in and who comes out, so they know what kind of shoes were they wearing, if they were to drop DNA or anything like that. So everything slows down to make sure that they can document the scene correctly. And it seems like that's probably what we're seeing right now, and that that only those who need to go in will go in, and that it will seem to be from the outside where we will all be seeing it, that it seems very slow, but they're beginning to do what they've got to do. That's
an excellent point. When things reach this level, they really slow down before we get a lot of information. Alex, we're going to let you get back to continuing to work your sources within the LAPD. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us here tonight and answering those questions. We'll check back with you later on.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alex. We are coming up on the top of the hour. This scheduled broadcast is nearing its end, but again, we are continuing to cover a murder investigation at the home of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. Two bodies were found at this home, a 78-year-old man, a 68-year-old woman. We have not received confirmation on who the identities of these victims are, but Rob Reiner, 78 years old, his wife, Michelle Singer, 68 years old. Air 7 is live over the scene right now as the top brass from the LAPD converges on Brentwood. We are awaiting word from them. We hope to hear from them in the coming hours.
We're going to continue to watch this scene from Air 7. Check in with Alex Stone and some of our sources with LAPD.
This has been breaking news on
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Let's get back. I want to get back to that. That's irregular, though. Usually they do. Sometimes I do know that a lot of cases they do want to make sure, but usually with this stuff already out, they usually say who it is. So, anyways, let's go. Let's see. This is a secret government UFO program reveals paranormal events. This is from 8 News, Las Vegas. This has OG himself.
For 27 months, Las Vegas was UFO Central. A secret program known as OSAP was created back in 2008 with support from Nevada Senator Harry Reid, and actually became the largest UFO investigation ever undertaken by the U.S. government, at least as far as we know.
But the investigators for the program, all of whom had top security clearances, encountered things that were far stranger than UFOs, phenomena that could be accurately described as paranormal.
8 News Now Chief Investigator George Knapp, the only journalist allowed to know about OSAP, spoke to the government scientist who was the program's director. George?
Yeah, things get a little weird here. Back in that era, 2008 to 2011, I had heard the name Dr. Jim Lakatsky a few times, mostly in hushed whispers. I finally met him face-to-face on St. Patrick's Day, 2018, at a meeting in D.C. arranged by Senator Reid. That's when I received a full download about OSAP that stunned me. What they found in this sprawling UFO investigation is that these unknown craft, whatever they are, seem to generate spooky phenomena that seemingly shouldn't exist.
We heavily went into Skinwalker Ranch, property of Robert Bigelow's. He offered a facility where we could see UFOs and the paranormal at once in one location.
How did this ranch in northeastern Utah, previously owned by Las Vegas aerospace tycoon Robert Bigelow, become a key part of the government's classified UFO investigation? It started at DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, where rocket scientist and intelligence analyst Dr. James Lakatsky and a colleague, Jay Stratton, became both puzzled and alarmed by reports about UFO intrusions at many of our nation's most sensitive national defense facilities. Residents of the Uinta Basin in northeastern Utah had been reporting frequent UFO incidents for decades, probably longer. And the Bigelow Ranch was deemed an epicenter of weird activity, not just UFOs, but also unknown creatures, things that presumably exist only in myths or movies.
Okay.
Bigelow's organization, NIDS, moved on to the ranch, and its team of scientists and investigators began collecting testimony from residents, then started seeing the creatures and phenomena for themselves. Lakatsky, Stratton, and the bosses at DIA were intrigued, not repelled, by the wild stories. They wanted to know if UFOs and the seemingly related paranormal incidents might be considered a threat.
Because I could see from my organization the threat potential, and we weren't covering many of the things you were observing. Strange creatures. I mean, think of inducing these, what might be called illusions by some people, into an enemy force. We wanted to learn what can be weaponized here.
Lakatsky and Stratton put together a program which DIA approved. The acronym was OSAP. Senator Harry Reid helped secure the funding, and Bigelow Aerospace was the contractor. 50 full-time investigators were hired, obtained top-secret security clearances, and went to work. The main focus was UFOs and UFO technology, but one smaller focus was measurable health effects on people who encountered a UFO and were physically harmed or developed rare diseases, including psychological effects. That allowed OSAP to cast a wide net and to report seemingly outlandish stories about creatures, poltergeist-type activity, and other weirdness. Dr. Lakatsky says that OSAP created a massive database of UFO accounts, but the witnesses were typically reluctant to admit that they had also had paranormal experiences after encountering UFOs.
We realized that people who openly say and are confident enough to say, I observed a UFO up close, maybe on the ground,